I'm Angie, and welcome back to my channel, or new to my channel, or to my channel, if you're new here. I've been trying to do an intro, and it's not like it's that hard. I'm like, hi, I'm Angie, welcome to my channel, this is what we're gonna do. But I just can't seem to get it out. So anyway, beep, 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 bunch cuts. And what we're gonna do today is learn how to mix chalk paint. Now, this is my own personal recipe, and for me, it works the best. I actually have never tried real chalk paint because when I looked at real chalk paint in the store, it was $30 for like a real little container. But I've watched plenty of videos on it, and then I have used a recipe to make it, one off of YouTube, and then I kind of did a couple little extra things or some things different to make it my own recipe, and I actually like this recipe better. So those of you that make your own chalk paint or that use chalk paint that's purchased from the store, you might think, oh my gosh, you are making a mess. But trust me, this stuff works great and it stays on everything. It'll stick to glass, it'll stick to metal, it'll stick to plastic, obviously wood, painted surfaces. It sticks to laminate, it sticks to your hands. I mean, you can wash it off though. But once you get that chalk paint on there and it's sealed, it's on. Like, it's on for good. It's not coming off unless you sand it or use some kind of a paint emulsifier. So you have to bear with me. I'm in my basement. I'm cold. It's always cold down here. Yes, I have a heater, but I'm cheap, so I don't like pump it down here to do my DIY projects. Anyway, let's get started. So to start with, you're going to need some regular latex paint. Now, the funny thing is, see, this is Glidden. It's actually black gloss. All of the other folks that I have watched show how to make chalk paint suggest that since chalk paint is already a matte kind of paint, that you would use matte latex paint, because this is latex paint, water-based latex paint. They suggested that you would use matte latex paint because chalk paint is matte anyway. What I have found is that if you actually use satin or gloss latex paint in your chalk paint, you still get the nice chalky paint, and you can do all the cool things with the chalky paint, the glazing and the layering and all that good stuff. But what I found is that it actually, it coats better, so it sticks better like the first coat. And it sticks better in general. I mean, I've said chalk paint just sticks to everything, but when I mix my chalk paint with gloss paint, it sticks like crazy. So, and plus the weird thing is I don't get as many little chunks. You can get some chunks in your chalk paint because, you know, around the outside of the edge, it's going to get dry, the chunks are going to fall in and whatnot. And I've just found that with the gloss, it doesn't get as chunky. And then the way that I do it, I've also found does not get as chunky. So we're going to get started. You need some latex paint, and it's up to you. Do your research. Try it out. Try gloss, try satin, try matte, try eggshell. Whatever works for you is what works for you. I just found that gloss works best for me. So, woo! Knocking that over. So I got my paint. I got some water because I'm going to need to water down the plaster I'm using. Pretty much adding plaster to your latex paint is what turns it into chalk style paint. Okay. I have my mixing container for the actual chalk paint. I'm going to be making black, as you saw. This is just a plastic creamer container. Like I said before, I just save all kinds of containers. When I put a piece of metal in here to mix it around, if you use plastic, you don't have the metal breaking through the glass like I told you about in my last video. If you didn't watch that, I'll probably link it at the end of this one. If you are new to my channel, I do a lot of furniture and I actually sell it for a living, so I don't really edit my videos. You might see my messed up intros at the beginning, and I don't care. Because I'm doing these for you guys because I want you to see how to do this stuff, but I just don't have time to edit it because I have 4 kids and I want to spend time with them too. So Feel free to fast forward. That's what I always say. Feel free to fast forward because I talk a lot. Yeah, I talk a lot. All right, so we have our container we're mixing our chalk paint in. We have our water to emulsify our plaster, or not really emulsify it, but to thin it down. Over here, this is plaster, and it's pre-mixed plaster. Now, most of the time, well, every video I've ever seen on making your own chalk paint, they say to use plaster of Paris, which comes in a powdered form, and then you mix it with water and use a blender, use a whisk, or shake it up, or use a fork, or whatever the case may be. You treat it like you're beating it like an egg, you know. You mix it up, and then you add it to your paint, or then you add your paint to it, or whatever you want to do. I found doing it that way, sometimes I get chunks. And it doesn't matter how much I mix that powder in there, I still get chunks. Like, there won't be chunks in my powder. Like, in my powder and water mix, I'll look at it, I'll dump it, I'll look for chunks, I'll stick my hand in it sometimes. But then as soon as I add the paint, just depending on, like I said, sometimes the matte does it more than the glossy, I'll just end up with chunks. And I found the thicker the paint, the more chunks I end up with. It's just bizarre. So I've just kind of been playing around with my own recipe. This is plaster, the kind of plaster that you'd put on walls, you know, like you tape and mud, and this is like the mud that you use. I regularly go to estate sale leftover events, and basically what it is they have an estate sale, and then once everything's been purchased that they feel like is going to be purchased, they then hold a leftovers. We'll call it a party, but it's more kind of like a bunch of greedy people trying to hurry up and get free stuff. But I don't want to classify myself as one of those. But anyway, most of the time people aren't going for the used plaster and stuff, so I do pretty well. I'll get my paint there and some plaster and some nuts and bolts and, you know, jars that nobody wants, and everybody else will be rushing past me with their whatever thing that they must have. Yeah. Anyway, those are pretty cool. So you can also get some smaller pieces of furniture there that are free, and some paint and all kinds of tools and clothes and just a million different. I saw adult diapers there, and I'm sorry, but even if I needed them, I probably wouldn't pick them up for free from there, and I don't know if I'll edit that out. Maybe that was too much information. I don't know. Anyway, let's get started. So we have our plaster, our water, our mixing container, and then we have another mixing container, just a smaller one, that we're going to put our pre-made plaster into, and a little bit of water, and then shake it up and get it the right consistency. Because the consistency of plaster that we want is kind of like pancake mix. Yeah, kind of like pancake mix. Not quite pudding. Pudding's a little thick. Between like pancake mix and pudding. And if I'm making you hungry, I'm sorry. So here we go. The really awesome thing about this plaster is that this stuff is so old. I don't know if you can see, and I don't even know if I want you to see, but it's like separated. There's this goop at the top, this clear stuff at the top. There's, you know, the plaster that's still liquefied, emulsified. It's still totally soft, not chunky at all, at the bottom. And, you know, I've used regular plaster because I refinished my entire basement. So, like, I framed it, you know, put up the drywall, taped, mudded, sanded. Ugh, I'll never sand that much plaster again. But I mean, I've used regular plaster, and this is definitely past its time. So this would have normally gone in the dump. I mean, who's going to use plaster like this to try to make their house? But for me, guess what? I'm saving the world because I'm saving this old plaster that it would have gone in the dump. And it also works really well for filling little teeny nicks in my furniture that I'm going to paint with my chalk paint anyway, as you might have seen in another video. So what I'm going to do is get some plaster in here. A lot of the times I'll have a stir stick in my plaster to grab it out. I have a stir stick, but it's to stir the paint with. So, I'm just going to use my hand and then wipe it off. I would not recommend after you mix plaster or get plaster on your hand, you need to wipe the plaster off of whatever it is before you go rinsing your hands in your sink, because keep in mind that plaster will harden. And you don't want that plaster to harden in your pipes and then just keep building up and building up and building up and building up and building up. So you want to wipe as much plaster off of anything that you're going to wash in your sink as possible. And you don't want to dump like extra plaster down the sink. Just dump it in the garbage, it'll get hard. So here we go. Good thing I'm not afraid of gross things. This stuff is, ew, you see it? So I'm just gonna take that. I know, somebody out there has got to be shaking their head by now, but it's all good in the hood. So I'm gonna take that, just a little more there. All right, wipe the plaster off my fingers as I splash it all over the place. Okay, I regularly just use rags of clothes my kids have ruined or towels that have, seen their day. I just use them to wipe my hands off on, so I just wipe my hands off. Now I'm going to take this water, and it's regular water. Like some people say, oh, use distilled water. I'm cheap. I just use the water from the faucet. It seems to work fine. So I'm going to put just a little. This is kind of, I hate to say it, but I don't have a specific recipe, like this many tablespoons of plaster to this much water. First of all, because I'm using plaster that's like clearly separated, so I mean, my recipe wouldn't work the same as for you. And second of all, I'm, I keep having to wipe my hand off. Like my grandma used to say when it came to cooking, I'm a dump cook, and I'm also a dump DIYer. So I just like dump things together and keep dumping more and more until I get what I want. And it's kind of funny because I went to beauty school, right? So you got this dump cook thing where you just dump some salt in. If it's too much salt, then you add the next thing to get rid of the salt, and then put some garlic in. Oh, too much garlic, so add some more of this stuff. And so I went to beauty school, and when you're cutting hair, you can't use the dump cook way, because if you cut the bangs and they're crooked, and then you cut them again, and then they're still crooked, and then you keep correcting and correcting and correcting, you have no bangs. I never did that, but I had it happen to me. It was terrible, so I decided to do furniture instead of hair. All right, added my water. I'm shaking it up. I want to make sure that all the plaster in there gets mixed up with the water evenly. I'm going to put my lid back on my water so in my shaking effort I don't knock it over. I swear, speaking of being a dump cook, like I am a catastrophe waiting to happen when it comes to pouring things and spilling things. Like this, I don't know if you can see this thing back here that I'm using kind of to put my stuff on, but all this green right here is paint that I spilled from one of the last videos that we did together. I don't know if you saw the spill on video, but it happened. It was really fantastic. So we're just going to shake this up. Shake it like a Polaroid picture. Or not. I don't know. Probably think I'm pretty lame after that one. Okay, let's see here. Alright, so there's the consistency of what I have right now. I'm going to quit focusing on my face and focus on the thing. I'm going to put more plaster in there because you can see kind of the bubbles. It's a little too watery. I can tell it's doing well because you can't see through. It's catching on the side, so that means it is getting thicker, but it's still a little watery for me, so I'm going to add a little more plaster. And just because we make this much plaster does not mean that we have to add all of it to our paint. And it's not like I have to worry about wasting plaster since I've got this delightful goop right here. And yes, I did try mixing it back up, and I gave up. I was like, no, that's not going to happen. I mean, seriously, it is so. I mean, maybe if I took one of those drills with the mixer on it and, got crazy with my bad self or something, but forget that. Whoa, I just flung plaster. I just decided that it'll work for my chalk paint, so I'm using it for that. If you have any questions about this process, please ask, because I know it's way different than what you normally see, but I am telling you the results. The results are amazing. I remember when I used to make YouTube videos and I edited them. You probably remember that too. Those were good times, huh? Yeah. But now I do a lot more stuff than YouTube videos, so no editing for you. Alright. That. Shake it some more. I suppose I could probably cut the shaking out of my YouTube video, but whatever. Fast forward. When you see me stop shaking, then quit fast forwarding. I got plaster all over this. Don't tell my daughter, but she kind of got her pajamas all stained and disgusting. and she really likes them, but they also work really well for wiping plaster off things. You might have seen her in my video yesterday. Oh my gosh. So, like I said, I don't edit my videos, I don't watch them. I was there, so I kind of know what happened. But I look at my video, and I see my delightful little daughter making all kinds of faces in the video. So if you saw yesterday's video and you saw all of her faces, my apologies for that. Oh, my other half is coming in right now. Are you going to get to work too? We're making chalk paint.
I'm going to get to work kissing you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to get to work down here.
Alright. Cool. I got my sidekick. He wasn't feeling well the last couple days. Oh, which reminds me. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, moment of venting. Just a moment of venting. So, I have, as you know, I sell furniture on my honey and I sell furniture. I always say I because I'm an only child and like everything's all about me, but I have to remember that there's other people involved too. And so Kevin Sawyer does furniture as well, but we sell it off of my Facebook profile. And so I sell it off of Facebook Marketplace. If you're ever looking for any furniture like what you see me making, especially if you're local in Spokane or you're going to be coming to Spokane, just look me up, Angela Sawyer, on Facebook. And then if you go to Marketplace, you can look up Angela Sawyer in Marketplace, and then you should be able to see all of the items that I have for sale. And if you're looking for something specific, just IM me, just message me and let me know, because I might have something in the works or something that for some reason isn't showing up in your query on Marketplace. So definitely look me up. But here's my venting. My other half has not been feeling well the last couple days. We had a customer coming into town for, I don't want to give it away just in case they get on my Facebook. I don't want to offend anybody, but I just want to say, like, this is not cool, man. So they were coming into town for a special event involving RVs, and they wanted this buffet that I have. It's like a buffet sideboard sort of thing. It's really neat. So if you look on my Marketplace, you'll still see it because it's not been sold yet. So she says he or she or whoever says that they're coming into town on Saturday, and I communicate with this person we have a couple of conversations. It's not just like, hey, is this available? Yes, it is. Can I come get it Saturday when I come to the RV show? Oh, whoops. Yes, you can. And that's it. Like, we talked back and forth a few times, and I thought, what a nice person. And I'm sure that this person is nice, and I'm sure that, something very important came up. But so yesterday, which was Saturday, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this hutch upstairs. Now, this is downstairs. This is where we do all of our work. And we also store our projects that are ready to be sold down here. And then when somebody wants something off of Marketplace or anywhere else we post, then we just grab it from down here and we bring it upstairs. Now me, I weigh like 94 pounds. And my husband was sick yesterday, like too sick to move anything. His back was just killing him. It was crazy. But I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this buffet up the stairs for this lady because I don't want to be unprofessional and, say, hey, can you help me move it from my basement or whatever. So it had some stuff stacked on it because, you have to kind of stack things to get everything to fit when you have like a billion pieces of furniture for sale. One day I'm going to have my own shop. Yeah. So I get everything unstacked off of it. I'm like moving it, I'm moaning, I'm groaning, I'm 94 pounds, the thing weighs I don't even know how much. I just want to reiterate, I am not a big person, but I was bound and determined to make sure that this was a professional sale. So I get it almost up the stairs, and I sent the gal a text message, or the customer, I don't know if it was a gal or dude, but so I sent the customer a text message saying, hey, just wanting to make sure that, we're still on today, blah, blah, blah. And after I'd already done all this work of getting the furniture, almost up the stairs, and let me tell you what, it was a lot of work, trust me. I get a message back saying, well, hopefully, and I'll let you know. And if I edited my videos, I'd put a picture of tumbleweeds blowing right now. Because guess what? I never heard back. And it's not the idea of, oh, I missed out on somebody buying something from me. It's just the idea of being courteous. If you're going to talk to someone back and forth about buying something from them, you don't know their situation. You don't know that they weigh, nothing at all, and they're trying to like move this thing up their basement stairs by themselves because their husband's sick and can't help, and you're just gonna like stand me up. So anyway, I'm not bitter, but if you like buy stuff off Marketplace, let the person know if you're not gonna show, because you never know if they've had to like drive somewhere to get it from a storage unit, if they've had to drag it from their garage back into their house, if they've had to drag it upstairs, like, maybe they canceled something just because they knew you were going to be showing. Anyway, this is making a long video really long. But that's my grump of the year, because I'm not usually that grumpy. So anyway, that's my 2 cents for you. Sorry about the venting. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we have our plaster. And I can see how it is not, you can't see, it's not clear, okay? So I can tell right now that this plaster is going to be the perfect consistency for my black chalk paint. It's nice and thick. If it was super thin, it would just come right back down, the walls, but it's thick enough to where it sticks to the walls, and that's what I want. All right, next thing. Gonna open our black paint. Anytime you get new paint, which, hey, tip of the day, I got this paint at Walmart. Normally, a thing of black paint like this is like $7 or $8. Oh, and I paid $7 or $8. Never mind. Different paint. Whatever. I didn't really get that good a video. But on one of my paints, they usually like $7 or $8 for a thing of these, and I got it for like $2.95 because it was a customer return. This wasn't it. So look there's like a weird section at Walmart near the paint that has like paint returns from people, like custom stuff that just didn't work for them, or like, I don't even know this one because it's just black, but anyway, you can get some really good deals on paint there, so check that out. Okay, so anytime you get new paint, you always want to stir it. Don't just shake it doesn't do enough. You got to get all the pigment from the bottom and get that mixed in up to the top. Now you're about ready to see one of my spilling failures, because I'm going to have to pour the black paint into the coffee creamer container. It's not good, because I'm probably going to spill it. Alright, actually, I just remembered, I think I have a bigger mouthed glass container that might work a little bit better. When my paint isn't all the way full, I can pour just fine. But when it's super full, I'm like a little kid spilling milk, and I just can't get it in the container. So hang tight. I'm going to find a different container. Okay, so I couldn't find a bigger mouth container, but I did actually pour some of my black paint into this off screen, and believe it or not, I didn't spill. Surprising. I don't know. So I poured some regular paint into this container. I'm now going to take my plaster mix, pour some in there, and then I'm going to pour some more paint in it and then shake it up. And you'd think that the plaster mix would make the black paint gray, but once you paint it on and then you put your clear coat, the clear coat makes it totally black again. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm just going to take and pour. You can see the consistency of the plaster. I do about half of what's in here. Maybe all. Alright. That. And let's move you guys down a little bit. Well, that did not help. Let's move you up a little bit. We'll get it right. Maybe we'll zoom you in a little bit. There. Zoom you in. Whoa. Move you down. Pay attention to where I'm doing my stuff so y'all can see. Okay, here we go. So now I've got my container right here that I'm mixing in. I've got my black paint. And okay, so maybe I spilled a little bit right there, but that's nothing compared to all that green. What I found is if I hold the paint can up a little bit and let it kind of like get the gooey drippy thing going on, then it gooey drips down instead of like makes a huge mess. So I'm going to pour paint in here, but I'm also going to leave enough room in case I need some more chalk or some more plaster, whatever. And also it's good to leave some room for shaking, because if you fill the whole thing up, you don't really have any space for the paint to shake around itself, so it's kind of harder for it to get mixed up, if you know what I mean. I used to use like a brush or whatever to get my paint back in my container, but then I realized that my hands work just as well, and I already have paint on them anyway, and I know I've said that to you before, but I'm telling you again. Kind of like one of those old people that just kind of repeats themselves over and over again. But I just want to, if you haven't seen any of my videos, I just kind of want to give you some of the tips that I've shared recently. Because my YouTube channel, it changes all the time. Sometimes it's motivational stuff. You'll always find DIY stuff on here, but right now I'm really into furniture, so you're probably going to find just a bunch of furniture, DIY painting and staining and fixing and all that techniques. So, and I've been trying to do one per day. Anytime I'm doing something in the day, I'm just trying to do one upload a day, and that's why I'm not, editing them. It's just to kind of, I don't know, it's like a vlog. It's like my DIY, it's my vlog. It's my DIY vlog. Alright, this on here. I'm going to wipe excess paint. Whew, I did not spill that. Okay, I'm going to wipe the excess paint off of this container, so when I'm shaking it, I've found if you don't wipe the excess paint off, this is a kid-appropriate channel, sometimes it just goes flying. So, there we go. And I did not put any screws or anything like that or bolts in here like I'd suggested to do. I'm just going to shake it up and hope it goes well. So, I'm not going to put you through watching me shake it up. You need to shake it really good. If you're using like a super duper huge container, then you might want to go in there with a paint stick, but I've found that just giving it a good shake will work. So I'm going to shake this up, and then I'll show you on my little test board here how it works. So give me a second and I will be back. Alright, I'm back. I still have it way zoomed in. Hang on. Zoom you out. Okay, so I'm back, and I have shaken up my chalk paint mixture, or my chalked paint. Once again, Annie Salone made chalk paint. This is chalked paint or chalk style paint. Alright, so I've shaken it up, just like that. Hey, yes, this is a creamer container. I could use it one of two ways. I could just like open up, see, black, focus, focus, focus. See how it's kind of thick? You can see the thickness just from me opening it. You can also see how black it is, even though I added white plaster to it. So I could either open it up, and some people just like to dump their paint and then spread it. Some people like to dip the brush. It's totally up to you. I don't normally use this kind of brush. I use this kind of brush for dry brushing, which is a technique I will show you guys. But I'm just going to, I actually use a stiff makeup brush for my painting. It is the best in the West, and probably the East. So I'm going to show you, though, how well this paint works. So once again, this is my recipe of chalk paint. It takes pre-mixed plaster, water, and gloss latex paint. And I'll tell you, yes, what are they called, like VOCs or whatever, like don't do this around your newborn baby or if you're pregnant or whatever, but I can tell you that by adding the chalk to the paint, even though the paint doesn't really have much of an odor anyway, it really cuts down on the odor, so it's kind of nice that way too. So I'm just going to dip my brush in here. Don't really have to get too much on. Let's make sure you can see what I'm doing. Can you see what I'm doing here? Let's zoom in. Okay. And, oh, that's my scarf. Okay, so here we go. There's the chalk paint. Okay. I just put a teeny little bit on my brush, kind of more like I was dry brushing actually, but let me get some more on there. And there you go. You got your paint. And like we talked about before with chalk paint, first layer, doesn't really matter which way you go. It's gonna be, maybe a little uneven looking, whatever. But then your second layer is going to be fantastic. So there we have it. We just made black chalk paint. One of my next videos is going to be on I don't know if you watched the one where I mixed the paint with the RIT dye and then I painted a coffee table. But I'm going to show you guys how I'm putting that. There was a flaw in the coffee table that I mentioned that I was going to fix. And I'm going to show you how I fixed that. And then I'll probably use this chalk paint in that video. So, and I might make it today. I don't know if I'll upload it today. But anyway, stay tuned for more furniture painting, chalk painting, tips, tricks, whatever. Also, just a reminder, if you have not subscribed, I would love your support in subscribing to my channel. Eventually, I'd like to be able to do the furniture and make the videos, but I need the bandwidth to edit the videos. So if I had more subscribers, that would help out. Like the video if you like it. I suppose don't like it if you don't like it. And thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, like, congratulate yourself. Because I do a lot of talking, plus I did my little venting. And Miss Person who didn't show up yesterday, if you're watching, I don't mean to be rude, and I'm not offended, and I hope you're not either. But it would be really cool if next time you would let me know before I move the really heavy piece of furniture. And that's it. Have a fantastic day, and you know what? Do something nice for someone today. Like, open a door for them or compliment them on their outfit if it's genuine, like a genuine nice thing. Yeah. Do something nice for someone. And then let me know that you've watched this video by leaving me a comment saying the nice thing you did. So I'll know that you watched because you're going to leave me a comment and you're going to tell me what nice thing you did. Yeah. So today, my nice thing, I think I have a gal coming over today to purchase a piece of furniture, and I think I'm going to give her a free piece of jewelry, just like as a surprise for coming over to purchase it. It sounds like the gal works a lot of hours, and I have a lot of jewelry to sell and to give, so I think I'm going to let her pick a free piece of jewelry just for being cool and coming over and grabbing some of my furniture. So that's my nice thing. I'll let you know how that turned out. You let me know how yours turned out in the comments, and have a fantastic